Hardships of the African American Community by Justin Brown.
I think our criminal
A
justice
video from
system is
Tanisha
working as
Coates.
intended. It is only broken to the extent that our society is broken. If your intention is to, jail massive numbers of people, if you believe that prison is an effective means of dealing with the myriad social needs of the African American community, then it's pretty effective. In fact, there's a long history in this country of dealing with problems in the African American community through criminal justice system, criminalizing social problems in a way that we don't do in other communities. For instance, if you looked at the research, you would find that somewhere around 60 to 70% of the people in prisons and in jails are suffering some sort of mental health problem. Upwards of 50%, go in there dealing with some sort of chemical dependency. Viewed from another lens, these are public health problems. One could look at, the massive number of African American men who are out of work, and the intersection between that and prison. Or one could look at where prisons are located. And you would find that a lot of times prisons are located in rural regions, where all other industries effectively shut down. And you might think of that as actually an employment problem and not a criminal justice problem. The enduring view of African Americans in this country is as a race of people who are prone to criminality. I mean, literally, we have the notion of black people as, criminals written into our Constitution. We have a fugitive slave clause, which effectively makes all the things that are normal for any other American in that period illegal for black people. To pursue your own freedom was illegal. Slavery, was enforced by the criminal justice system, the slave laws. It made, very, very ordinary things like learning to read effectively a criminal act. Frederick Douglass is an escaped slave. He's a criminal. He's stolen his body, as he says in one of his speeches. Harriet Tubman.
Unemployment. One of the main five hardships faced in the African American community. 13.9% in Metro Atlanta versus 4.4% of white Americans. A black American is 3 times more likely to be unemployed than a white American.
It is astounding how significantly one idea can shape a society and its policies. Consider this one. If taxes on the rich go up, job creation will go down. This idea is an article of faith for Republicans and seldom challenged by Democrats, and has indeed shaped much of the economic landscape. But sometimes
it's still a struggle. Still a struggle.
Black men are struggling to find work. Some say that black male unemployment has reached an epidemic level.
I got fired, because I was the last one that got hired. Now I can't even get unemployment because I worked there for about 45 days, and then I just got laid off immediately.
Even as the economy recovers and the national unemployment rate is at 10%, black male unemployment is a staggering 18%, and this has major consequences.
When you have just tens of thousands of people who are out of work, it tends to destabilize.
David Jones heads a community service society. His research investigates what the consequences of black male employment are for everyone else.
There are problems of increased crime that we're already seeing the signs of. There's problems of substance abuse. As people despair, they tend to turn to those kinds of things.
So why are so many African American men unemployed? Some say they are now competing with immigrants.
And it's tough. The Mexicans really get all the jobs in the black people community. It's sad.
According to the national stats, being homeless or in poverty means that you make below $350 per month. There are currently 1,750,000 people in poverty, and 50% of those people are black. That's a huge
Anos.
I'll give you back the phone. Elderly citizen just showing this to kind of appeal to the emotion of the effect that
it's in my blood.
who you are.
Thank you.
Make sure that she's all right. We need to go talk to these people down here. Guerrero should be here at 3 o'clock with all the paperwork from Cam in Spanish. mean no displacement zone. We mean no displacement zone. We mean set it up and put it right back in. The next step has got to be a lawsuit to lock this down. And then we can take it.
Okay, that'll work. You know what?
They waited till she left.
Yeah, they did wait till she left.
Y'all know my American?
Never went in the house.
Every coach that shit. He's still teasing, babe. Whoa! Oh my God!
God damn.
Drug conviction and addiction. Drugs are the #1 cause of offense that sends a black man away to jail. Addiction can lead to the loss of everything.
In a moment, we'll talk to a former Baltimore police officer who wants to legalize street drugs and end the war on drugs. But first, some background. Launched in the early 1970s, the war on drugs is the nation's longest, most expensive battle. 40 years and hundreds of billions of dollars spent and millions of lives destroyed. It continues even though most experts say it can't and will never be won. And though whites are more likely to use or sell narcotics, African Americans, and black men in particular, have become the war's primary casualties. Federal government stats show African Americans make up 14% of regular drug users, but are about 37% of those arrested for drug crimes. From 1980 to 2007, the height of the crackdown, 25.4 million adults were charged with possession or use of illegal narcotics. 8.5 million of those were African American, nearly 3 times the percentage of blacks in the general population. Of the nearly 1 million African Americans behind bars, about 2/3 are there for nonviolent drug offenses, even though whites are more likely than blacks to use illegal drugs. President Barack Obama and drug czar Gio Kurlikowski have made tentative steps away from the drug war. In 2010, President Obama signed a law reducing disproportionately tough sentences for crack cocaine. But that went from 100 to 1 to 18 to 1. And Kurlikowski has pushed treatment for drug offenders instead of incarceration. Yet the number of black men behind bars continues to spiral as the war grinds on, keeping men out of college, out of the workforce, and out of their homes. Over the last 20 years, studies show about 1 out of every 10 black children has had a father in a prison cell.
Mental illness is the least known issue that is faced as an African American.
Because sometimes when you have a mental illness, you feel so different. It's like you're not even, you feel so disconnected. Like I can't even feel like other people feel, When I would burn myself, the sound of the needle hitting my skin, I could hear my skin burning. It brings back that, okay, I am human, I am here because I can feel this pain.
To prison twice. Both times it was drug related. My first time going to prison is when they put all the labels on me. The psychiatrist will talk to you for 5 minutes and give you a diagnosis. And 9 chances out of 10, it's wrong. And you really shouldn't be there. Because that's taking the guy that has mental challenges and placing him with the guy that's just a straight up criminal. And you know what's going to happen. It's going to be trouble.